All right, well, thanks. So I know you're busy and you're traveling right now. I think you're somewhere overseas. Is that true?
Yes, that is correct. I am currently on sabbatical in Bangladesh, conducting research for my next book. I am self-publishing it, so it should be available by early next year.
Oh, really cool. Wow, we'll have to look for that book, I'm sure. Well, would you just briefly introduce yourself quickly to us? Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do.
Well, I am Dr. Jason Haeckel, professor of sociology at North by Northwestern State College in Arkansas. The central thrust of my research program is the study of declinism in developing nations. However, it has recently revolved around two foci: the elucidation of political, social, and economic influences on neo-contemporary declinism in Asia, and secondly, borrowing some from the biological sciences, reconstruction of phylogenies of declinism across spatial and temporal scales.
Wow, that's really cool, exciting research, it sounds like. Well, we're all particularly interested tonight in the topic of declinism. And as you are a leading expert, I was hoping you could just give us a bit of information on that.
Well, Nathaniel, declinism simply is the belief that a society or institution, or perhaps the entire world, is in a state of significant and possibly irreversible decline. Now, this is a legitimate fear, no doubt. However, those of us scholars who study declinism understand that this is a repeated phenomenon throughout human history. For example, in ancient Greece, we see evidence of declinism in texts in which the elders bemoaned the youth of the day for hedonistic and slothful lifestyles. In the United States, in the middle 1800s, society at large feared the new technology of the telegraph, considering it to diminish the integrity of journalism. So, these examples throughout history beg the question: is the world really coming to an end or declining? Or is the end of the world perhaps inevitable? Nathaniel, these are the important questions of our field.
Wow, thank you, Dr. Haeckel, for that. So, before I have to leave, I'm hoping that you could provide us some maybe advice in terms of how to be a good scholar. We're a lot of grad students and postdocs. If you have any advice for us.
Yes, this is a good question, Nathaniel. Well, my advice to the young aspiring scholar would be to not waste their time on social media. I see many young scholars of the day promoting themselves and their research on Facebook, Instagram, Twitters, using these platforms to promote their new publications. But I find this to be a fool's errand. You see, when I was in graduate school, we didn't have social media. We simply conducted research, wrote manuscripts, and published them in the appropriate journals of our field, and attended professional conferences. So my advice to the aspiring scholar would be to not waste their important time using these silly social media platforms.
All right, thank you, I guess. I really think it's kind of funny.
Well, what is funny about what I said, Nathaniel?
Well, I mean, you studied declinism, but yet what you said, I think, is a declinist statement, right?
Well, such use of social media has diminished the integrity and quality of science.
Well, yeah, but I mean, isn't that exactly what a declinist would say?
Oh, yes, Nathaniel, I'm sorry, I must be leaving now. I have a very important meeting to attend. Thank you. Have a very nice evening in Nevada.
All right, thank you, Dr. Haeckel. Thank you for joining us.
Woo!
Well, thanks for borrowing with us the technical difficulties. All right, so yeah, so that's basically what we're talking about tonight, declinism. So as Dr. Jason Haeckel so elegantly placed it, declinism or a declinist is simply someone who theorizes that the nation, society, or some other entity is headed for a state of economic, political, or social decline. And this is actually what Merriam-Webster says. But for those of you who maybe went to Sunday school, these are the four horsemen of the apocalypse. So this is really something that's been throughout human history. We've always been kind of thinking about the demise of our race or of the world. But I actually found this about a year ago. I came upon this topic, and I had never heard of declinism in terms of an actual field or something that people thought about. But I was amazed to find the types of technologies and new products that have come about and have been met by declinist views by society. So this is an example in 1858 here, when the telegraph was created, and we were laying the cable in the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean to connect England to the United States. This is a part of a news story, and I really just want to focus on some of the verbiage used right here. Okay? So far as the influence of the newspaper upon the mind and morals of the people is concerned, there can be no rational doubt that the telegraph has caused vast injury. Superficial, sudden, unsifted, too fast for the truth, must be all telegraphic intelligence. Does it not render the popular mind too fast for the truth? So we could basically just take this exact words in 21st century jargon and talk about the internet, or anything, probably for that matter. If we go to the novel was also not necessarily perceived as some great new product of society. And this is taken from an article in 1894. And I'm borrowing this from actually a podcast that I found about a year ago, the Pessimist Archive. And they basically treat many technological advances with this kind of idea. But anyways, so in this they treat the novel as becoming an enemy, a national enemy, and that it is sapping the minds of our youths. Okay? And this is in 1894. I mean, who here, if a kid was reading a book, would think, oh God, thank God they're reading a book and not on their phone, right? Okay? So we've been thinking about this forever. But then it brings up the point, is the world really declining? Are we really just ending in our own demise? That's very likely the case. You know, I mean, if 5 billion years from now we're supposed to all be engulfed by the sun, so at some point we probably will end. But declinism has actually become a field within social sciences. So there's a lot of people who think about this. Just a couple examples here. I won't go into great detail, but the decline of declinism, the recent American declinism controversy. So this is something that scholars have indeed thought about. And I mean, it kind of came out, this is actually a paper written about British declinism, and this is about American declinism. So we could very well think that, yeah, maybe our countries are declining. But this is not something that historically is unprecedented. And then some other work that people have done, not necessarily directly related to declinism, but may help us to understand why declinism is a recurring pattern in the human psyche, if you will. We have one topic that psychologists have studied. This is called the reminiscence bump. And essentially what psychologists have determined is that humans are, as humans, we recall memories from childhood and early adulthood more than we do later in life. And so this figure kind of represents this. On the x-axis is our age from 0 to 80 in intervals of 10 years. And on the y-axis is the percent of memories we make. And so from about the age of 10 to somewhere between 20 and 30, we have this hump in the number of memories we remember. And then it drops precipitously until we get later in life and we begin remembering things again. So we kind of have this bias in our own mentality to remember things from childhood. If we add that to the positivity effect, some studies here, this is just one example, or maybe two, no, just one. Okay. So what these people found, and others as well, but I just showing you one, they actually found that there is a kind of a bias toward remembering positive memories. So what this does, coupled with the reminiscence bump, is essentially you may be remembering things from when you were a child, longer ago, and the memories that you do have maybe are more likely to be positive than negative memories. So coupled is we tend to have this very idealistic view of the past and a less supportive view of the current world. Okay? Now this is, like I mentioned earlier, this isn't to say that we have no issues to face. It's just to say that if we understand some of our own human psychology, we may better be prepared for the future. So, in the end, I actually have a song, too, that I was going to play that kind of illustrates this whole thing. So I don't need that anymore. Free bird. Free bird. For Josh. So this is a pretty easy song to figure out the words to after like the first verse. So feel free to sing along if you want. All right. Is that picking up?
Can you guys hear?
Nope. Oh, it's off again. This one's off.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
It's probably. Yeah. I'll just stand right here. All right, here we go. This is called Bringing the World Down. Well, I was sitting around one day. And I sat my little boy on my lap. And I said to him, I said, boy, when I was just about your age, just about your size, when I was just a young whippersnapper about knee-high unto a grasshopper, we didn't have no cellular smartphones. No, we didn't have no cellular smartphones at all, you see. The cellular smartphone is evil. It's bringing this world down. Bringing this country to hell in a handbasket. Well, then I proceeded to tell him about when I was just a little bit younger of a kid, how I would sit on my own daddy's lap. Well, my daddy would tell me, boy, when I was just a little kid, that's right, I was just a little boy about your age and just about your size. Just a young whippersnapper about knee-high to a grasshopper. We didn't have the internet. No, we didn't have the internet at all, you see. The internet is evil. It's bringing this world down. Bringing this country to hell in a handbasket. Okay? Hey, if you know the words to the song, you can feel free to take a drink. Well, and you wouldn't be too surprised to know that daddy also sat on his daddy's lap. And his daddy would say to him, boy, when I was just about your age, just about your size, just a young whippersnapper about knee-high to a grasshopper. We didn't have the radio. No, we didn't have the radio. The radio is evil. That's right, the radio is bringing this world down. Bringing this country to hell in a handbasket. Well, that daddy, when he was just a little kid, he didn't have a daddy to sit on his lap. His daddy was killed in the war. So he sat on his mama's lap. Yeah, that's right. His mama said to him, boy, when I was just about your age, just a wee little kid, we didn't have the bicycle. No, we didn't have the bicycle at all, you see. That bicycle is evil. Bicycle's bringing this world down. Bringing this country to hell in a handbasket. Hell in a handbasket. Amen, brother. Well, you see, and that's the way it went all the way through history. Way on back. Just kids sitting on parents' laps. Well, it actually went so far back that one day, it wasn't a kid sitting on a parent's lap anymore. No, you see, because humans weren't even around. No. It wasn't humans, it was some sort of protozoa. That's right, some kind of amoeboid. Well, this little amoeboid was talking to his little kid, Protus, saying, boy, when I was just about your age, just about your size. That's right. I was just a wee little cell, only about knee-high to an organelle. We didn't have any oxygen in the atmosphere. No, we didn't have any oxygen at all, you see. No, because oxygen in the atmosphere is evil. It's bringing this world down. That's right, it's bringing this world to hell and a hand. Everybody, basket!